Greetings, my Israelite brothers and sisters, heirs, joint heirs, adopted, grafted, however you may come, natural, spiritual. Um, I titled this, Mark Your Calendars, okay? Feast days coming up. Mark your calendars. Now, I'm going to give you some dates. Passover this year will be on April the 19th. April the 19th is Passover. This year, the Feast of Unleavened Bread will be on April the 20th. April the 20th. Okay? Now, just sticking with those dates, also Pentecost would be on June the 16th. That's when Pentecost is this year, June the 16th. That's on a Sunday. So let me just give you some ideas about all of those three dates, how we got there. We did it today, we did it last night. So let me just show you how we get into that time period. When you look on your calendar and look up the word new moon, it's going to be one of the sites that comes up is called Date and Time. And for new moons, there's a section that says what country. Put in the word Jerusalem. It's going to come up. And what we will find out is that the new moon, according to that calendar, will come based upon their calculations and what they see in orbit and all like that. The new moon will begin on April the 5th at 11:50 a.m. 11:50 a.m. on April the 5th. April the 5th is a Friday. However, since it comes at 11:50 a.m., you don't see it until the sun goes down. So when the sun goes down, that not only starts a day, but that evening will start the new month. So sundown April the 5th will be April the 6th. Therefore, April the 6th is the first day of the Hebrew month. Abib. Fancy people say Aviv, Aviv, and all that. Those British and Hebrew and whatever else you think you speak, you say Abib, that's fine. You know what I'm talking about. It's the first month of the Hebrew calendar. It's the very first day. So the first day of the first month of the Hebrew calendar will start April the 6th. That's on a Saturday. That's on the 7th day. That's on the Sabbath. Count that as day one, April the 6th. Excuse me. Out 14 days. It will take you to April the 19th, which is a Friday. And we know, according to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, the feast or the Passover is on the 14th day of the first month. So the 19th day of April, which is 14 days, starting from April the 6th, the 14th day will be on April the 19th. April 19th is a Friday. So therefore, the feast of Passover, or the memorial of the Passover, will start Thursday night at sundown. Okay? So sundown the 18th, or which is the beginning of the 19th, which is Friday, that's Passover. April the 20th will be the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Okay? So that's when that's going to be. Okay? Now, we know that the Feast of Unleavened Bread starts on that day and it goes for 7 days. The first day and the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread is a Sabbath, okay? So on Saturday, April the 20th, which is a weekly Sabbath, some people will refer to, when that happens, a double Sabbath. So the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is a Sabbath, it falls on a weekly Sabbath this year, okay? So those are dates you need to remember. Now, remember when Passover comes on sundown the 19th, from the 19th to the 20th is is 24 hours, or 1 day. From the 20th to the 21st is 2 days and 2 nights. And from the 21st to the 22nd, which is, I believe, a Monday, will be 3 days and 3 nights. Okay, so you got Friday to Saturday is 1, Saturday to Sunday is 2, Sunday to Monday is 3 days and 3 nights. That is when the harvest comes out of the ground, or the first fruits. And remember, the Messiah is the first fruit. So when he comes out of the ground, because he's the first fruits of the resurrection, so the Feast of the First Fruits is all in relation to the resurrection. He is the first fruit of the resurrected. Nobody is ever resurrected from the grave and become spirit. He is the first to have ever done that. Okay? So that's why he's called the first fruits. So whenever the first fruits come out of the ground, you're supposed to count when you take the harvest to the priest at the very next Sabbath, weekly Sabbath. And the morrow after the Sabbath, which would now be the first day of the week, you're supposed to count that as day 1 and count out to 50 days. When you do that, which is, when you count that in the scriptures, 7 Sabbaths, that would take you to June the 15th. That would be the 7th Sabbath. Tomorrow after the 7th Sabbath would be 50, which falls on June the 16th. Okay, so we now know Pentecost is on June the 16th. Go and look at that, and you will see that for yourself. Now, if you put in Google Pentecost 2019, it's going to give you June the 9th as the day in which you do it. Here's where that comes from. This year, if you put in Easter 2019, it's April the 21st. And Pentecost will always be according to the Catholic faith, who don't count, who just arbitrarily stated that Pentecost is the 7th Sunday from Easter. The 7th Sunday from Easter. So on your calendar, if April the 21st is a Sunday, in which it is, and they said that's Easter Sunday, the very next Sunday is April the 28th. So that's the first Sunday. Look on your calendar and go the second, third, fourth, fifth Sunday after that. The 7th Sunday, starting with April the 28th, will be on June the 9th. So therefore, it will say Pentecost is June the 9th. Okay? Those of you that follow the Messianic faith, who don't accept the Messiah, or the Jews, or the Orthodox Jews, even the Reform, who don't accept the Messiah, and they don't understand that the Messiah is the first fruits. And you got to wait till he comes out of the ground. And whatever day of the week that is, being Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, You're supposed to hold that harvest and take it to the priest on the Sabbath, which is that weekly Sabbath. And the morrow after that Sabbath, which will be the first day of the week, you start to count 50, okay? And when you start counting on the first day, the 50th day will also end up on the first day of the week. You can check that out. No, if you start counting Monday as day 1, day 50 will always end on a Monday. So whatever day you start counting from, day 50 will it always be on that day. But in this case, we know you start counting on the morrow after the Sabbath, so you start to count, which is on the first day of the week. And when you count out 50, the 50th day will always be on the first day of the week. So we know that this year that would be on June the 16th. Okay? Now, I told you how the Catholics came up with June the 9th. They just, Easter's on the 21st. Then the 28th is the first Sunday after Easter. And you keep going after that till you get to the 7th Sunday, and that's going to be on June the 9th. Now, let's talk about the Jews, or the Orthodox, or the Reformed Jews, who most of them have misinterpreted the scripture because they don't understand that the Messiah is the first fruits. The morrow after the Sabbath to them is not the weekly Sabbath, it's the Sabbath of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So therefore, they will always count Abib the 16th as day 1. And they will always end on Sivan 6 as the 50th day. Always. So to those Jews who are Reformed and Orthodox, Sivan 6 will always be Pentecost to them. The problem with that, the fallacy with that is because they go by the fact that it's the 6th day of that month. The Messiah, the scriptures, if they intended for that, they would have given Pentecost the same structure as they did the Feast of Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Trumpets. The Feast of Trumpets is always the first day of the 7th month. Day of Atonement is always the 10th day of the 7th month. Feast of Tabernacles is always the 15th day of the 7th month. If he intended for Pentecost to be on Sivan 6, he would have told us, right? He says it would be the 6th day, I believe, of the 3rd month or maybe the 2nd month. It's the 6th day of the 3rd month. If he intended for it to fall on the same day every year. But he wants us to count. And you can't start the counting until the harvest comes out of the ground. And that harvest is the Messiah who resurrected from the grave. And once he resurrected, whatever day of the week that is, you must wait till the 7th day weekly Sabbath and do that. I gave you that information already. But let's get back to what the Orthodox and the Reformed Jews do. Since the 16th of Abib this year is on a Sunday, because remember the 15th of Abib is on April the 20th, which is the Sabbath. The 14th of Abib would be on April the 19th. Therefore, the 21st of April would be the 16th day of Abib, which happens to fall on a Sunday. So when you count out 50 days from April the 21st, it will put you on the same date that the Catholics have came up with being as the 7th Sunday from Easter, which will be on the June the 9th. So if you count April the 21st as day one, and if you follow the Savan 6 doctrine, you're going to come up with Pentecost on June the 9th. So two things here. If you just look at the calendar and say, when is Pentecost in 2019? It's going to say June the 9th. If you say, when is Shavuot, which is another word for Pentecost, it's going to say June the 9th. And the way that both of those groups calculate, it's not according to the scripture. But if you do it according to the way that we instructed, reading Leviticus the 23rd chapter, and it says, whenever you should reap the harvest, it's considered to be the first fruits. You're not supposed to touch it. You're not supposed to handle it or eat it. You're supposed to take it to the priest on the very next weekly Sabbath, and the morrow after the Sabbath, which was the first day of the week, shall you start counting. And that's how you come up with June the 16th, because it will be on the 28th. The 27th is, on the 22nd is when the harvest comes out of the ground, like on a Monday. That weekly Sabbath would be April the 27th. The morrow after that would be the first day of the week, which is April the 28th. And when you go from the 28th and start counting 50, you'll come up with June the 16th as Pentecost. So I hope that this information has been vital to you. Mark your calendars, put it down. So I'm just going to give them to you all together. It says, my channel is not giving us any live chat notifications. Yeah, I noticed that. So I don't know what's going on. Sister Tia, this is the first one that I've seen. So I don't know what's going on. You know, YouTube is doing their thing. So I can't see who's here, how many people are here. So they didn't receive any live notifications. Wow. Several people told you they didn't receive any live notifications. So I'll call you on that and find out what that is. Maybe we'll figure that out. Okay, we'll figure that out. Thank you for letting me know, because you're the first I've seen here right now. So apparently YouTube has done something different. But I'm going to still teach and continue to spread this. So let me give this dates to you again. April the 19th, which is on a Friday, is Passover. April the 20th is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. June the 16th is Pentecost. Okay, the rest of them I'll give you later next week, and then this week's Bible study. So, like now when I look, I don't see any notifications visible. I have to pull them up. I don't see anything. I just see two of them. And that's from Biblical T, who just wrote me and said something. Your channel's not giving us any live chat notifications. So I'm going to have to go in and see what's going on. There's only 2 watching, 3 watching. Okay. 4 now. Okay. 4. Okay. So I have to figure out what's going on with this. And why is it not? This started yesterday, by the way. So I have to go in and find out what's going on and why this all of a sudden has started to occur. But again, we're still going to teach. We're still going to do that. And so I'm leaving these titles up in the car cams. Mark your calendars, the feast, so we can continue to give this out. So I'm here at the gas station. I'm going to pump me some gas. Y'all give me a few minutes.